All right, it's 5 o'clock. Thanks everybody for being here tonight. This is a work session for our council agenda for next week. I know there's a lot of folks here that want to speak, and we're going to do public comment at the end, and this agenda will go pretty quickly, I think. So we should get there quickly, and then we'll talk through public comment when we get there. So first thing on the agenda, sorry, and I need to add something first, and we discussed this. This next meeting will be our last meeting of October, and what we've done every year is to elect officers for the next year on the last meeting of October. So we're going to be adding that. So election of officers for the following year will be added to this agenda for next week. All right, approval of minutes. Any questions? Approval of monthly bills. Approved September 2023 monthly bills. Any questions? All right, appeals. Resolution 23-280, approved TO1, final suspension or revocation.
I have not received anything from Ms. Loomis at TO1. I did email her again this morning. I still have not received a response.
Okay. So I think they had said last week they thought they would be able to get payment in the next 2 weeks. So go from there. Any questions on that?
What's the total on that now?
$22,700.
Thanks.
And we spoke last week. They did receive a check, but nothing. I know they were having issues at the bank. Nothing since then.
I have not received any communication since then.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? All right. We have several weed abatements, A through L. Any questions on those?
They're just standard weed abatements.
Okay. Resolutions. Resolution 23-307, approved special use permit for T-Mobile to modify equipment at 1101 Prospect Drive Southeast, Mod 4. I don't see anyone from CMS. Herman, anything to add?
It must be an upgrade of equipment for 5Q.
Okay. Any questions? Resolution 23-308, approved MUB expenditure of $4,175,000 for wastewater treatment plant, medium voltage electrical improvements.
Yes, sir. Mr. Ladner, Council, this is an expenditure to move forward with relocating 30-year-old electrical equipment at the wastewater treatment plant. Due to continued material supply shortages, we are being told now we're looking at a 60-week lead time on getting this equipment in, so we'd like to go ahead and move forward. We did receive 2 responsive bids on the project and recommend award to Mastins, Inc. They've done a lot of work at our plant over the last several years. They've done a really good job. We have no reason to doubt that this will not be quality work performed by them. We recommend approval.
All right, any questions? 60-week lead time?
60 weeks.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Resolution 23-309, accept appointment to mental health officer at the city of Decatur. Captain Hayes.
Council President, Mayor, Jeremy Hayes, Decatur Police Department. The purpose of this agreement is to clarify the partnership between the Decatur Police Department and the Morgan County Probate Court to implement the position of community mental health officer as set forth by Alabama state law. Recently, it was changed where we're allowed as a municipality to set our own mental health officer. And with this, they will basically mirror the job that Jerry Wilhoit does as the Morgan County mental health officer. The only expense to us is Ms. Kate Anderson is already working with us as our mental health liaison. The only increased expenditure may be a little bit of overtime now and then if she gets called out late at night.
All right, any questions? So right now we have to call Morgan County.
Correct.
Okay.
One person services the whole county, where Ms. Anderson would serve just the city of Decatur.
Okay. All right, any questions? Thanks, Captain Hayes. Resolution 23-310, declare surplus of miscellaneous sporting good items no longer needed at TC Allman.
Jeremy Sherrill, procurement agent for the city. In September, council approved demolition of TC Allman Rec Center, and we're working closely with Parks and Rec to schedule systematic removal of various sporting good items that need to come out of the building.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution 23-311, accept historic structure report for Delano Park from the Alabama Historic Commission.
Yes, Alan Stover, Community Development Manager with the city. This is a $21,000 grant that will come from the Historic Preservation Commission. It will require a $14,000 match, making the total grant $35,000. This will do a historic structures report of the facilities at Delano.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution 23-312, approve the purchase of recycling carts from Toter LLC.
Wanda Tyler, landfill and recycling. Yes, this is part of the ADM grant. They provided us with $50,000 to upgrade our carts from 64 gallon to 96 gallon carts, and this is the first stage of that.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution 23-313, award bid number 23026 to U.S. Constructors LLC for building addition at Recycling Center.
Yes, this is a 6,400 square foot pre-engineered metal building addition to be added to the recycling center. A large portion, I believe $300,000 of this was received from the Alabama Recycling Fund grant, received it on resolution 23-187, and the additional $166,000 is requested of the landfill unassigned balance. We have 2 respondents, and we are recommending U.S. Constructors to be awarded as the lowest responsible bidder.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution 23-314, Aldott uncollectible accounts receivable, Spring Avenue widening Jesse to Cedar Lake.
Council Caldemeester Finance. This is one of the overages we typically get from Aldott years after projects have been somewhat close to complete. What this essentially does is writes off the receivable. We had anticipated NPO to cover the 80-20 split. We were informed that they will not be doing that, and so the expenses have been paid, but the anticipated revenue will not be collected, hence the writing off of the receivable.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution 23-315, accept emergency lighting equipment donation from Decatur Electronics Communications for Decatur Fire and Rescue.
Tracy Thornton, Fire Chief, Decatur Fire and Rescue. What this resolution is for a couple of new vehicles we got. Decatur Communications is giving us a donation for some of the lights that go on the vehicles, the emergency lights. Let's just accept that donation.
Okay, any questions? Resolution 23-316, authorize the mayor to execute a purchase agreement with Richard Winstead.
Council Dane Shaw, Director of Development for Decatur. This is for 100 Class A apartments with 2 retail spaces on the corner of Grant and 2nd. Mayor and I toured this, the developer's development in Tennessee this spring. It's an excellent addition to our city. They'll have an 18-month period to pull, we'll have 18 months to pull permits once they execute the agreement.
All right, any questions?
Is that all 3 parcels?
Yes.
So he's gonna get all 3,
Yes.
close on all 3 at one time?
The ones in the front are 2 very small parcels. It looks like 1, but it's actually 2.
All right, any more questions? Resolution 23-317, authorize mayor to sign agreement with Slaughter and Associates for redistricting.
Of course, Mr. Slot was here a few weeks ago. He will assist the council, the mayor, and the staff in adjusting the district lines as far as council member and mayor, and help us to look at the logistics and population shift. And that's what this does. So the elections are in 2025, summer of 2025. And this gives us more than adequate time to review what we have. And that's what this does.
And we're looking at
Estimate
paying,
between 15 and 18,000.
I was about to say, we're looking at paying $18,000 for this,
Yes, sir.
but Herman, we've got the software to do this. We've done it twice already and since I've been here. So I'm trying to figure out why.
Well,
we have to pay
I'll check
$18,000.
with planning, but my understanding that it may have changed. That was, we leased that software for those particular elections. We we don't have possession. But that's a great question. I'll find out from planning, because planning's the one that brought it to us.
In 2000, Tommy Sykes and I went to Montgomery to the Office of Reapportionment, and we got the maps and we brought them back, and that was what was adopted. We brought 2 sets of maps back, a 5-district and a 7-district.
Yeah, okay.
When the council chose this 7-district, the last time in 2000, actually almost 12, when we did it, we went to Brookhaven Middle School. We took the software to Brookhaven Middle School, and it's such an easy fix that the 8th graders at Brookhaven actually did that. Now,
I understand, but-
Karen was there with us, Gail was there with us, but
Yes, sir, I will check with planning, but it was my understanding that that was rented software that we no longer have access to, but that's a great question. I'll ask planning, because that's who brought it to us for this request.
Would it be cheaper to rent that software?
Not based on what I saw before, it's not. Yes.
and then again, we could still, again, unless they closed office, we could still go to Montgomery and they could help us to provide those maps. Why would we pay $18,000 to do that?
I understand. All I'm doing is sharing what the request was from the planning department. We've reviewed it. He came, he presented, and it was a great question. But all I can do is do what Dane just talked about. We'll talk to staff and see.
Okay.
But no, we don't want to spend $15,000 to $18,000 if we don't need it.
Well,
I agree with you.
one other thing, Herm.
Yes, sir.
So I'm kind of going out here guessing, but was that with the previous manager in the planning department that was discussed with, not the current?
That is correct.
Okay. No longer with the city?
That is correct.
Okay.
Wait a minute, this fee that you're saying was with Lee?
Maybe I'm misunderstanding your question. No, the planning department came and asked this of us is the present planning department. What he is describing with the software and 8th graders and all that was a previous manager of the department. Maybe I'm not answering, but
I didn't think Mr. Slaughter had visited. I thought he visited with us before Chris Stone was part of the.
It was before Chris, but
Before
Tommy
Chris.
is.
But I'm.
And what's happened every time prior to this?
A previous manager.
And what's happened every time prior to this, except this time, was that I was involved in it because it all starts with District 1.
That's right.
We start with District 1 each time.
That's
And
right.
this time we've taken a different approach, I guess.
Well, that may be
We can
because
say that.
people, I understand. So you make good points. We'll just have to
Okay.
see where we are.
I had a question, you brought up 7, is it, and I actually talked to John Meredith about this, because they have 5 in Huntsville. And he said the reason they've never gone to 7 or even 9 is because it's a lot harder to change your school district. You can't just, I think it takes legislative action maybe to change your school districts, and so they preferred to mirror, they didn't want to have 7 or 9 council districts and 5 school board
And that might be true,
districts.
that might very well be true, but when we discussed it in 2000, we brought the maps back and we were prepared to try to do that and to go to the legislative delegation and see if we could get that done.
With the school board
With the
too.
school board as well.
And so the school board would have to be in favor of that as well, I guess.
Not necessarily, because they have to mirror us.
So it's their responsibility. He acted like they.
Is that not right?
I haven't looked at that, but my understanding is they mirror what, yes, they have
They
to
mirror
mirror what we do.
Then it could be something specific to Huntsville, because he said basically they could not do that.
Yeah, and actually, 7 districts, in my opinion, gives us better representation. And that's just my opinion. Smaller districts allow for better representation for our citizens. So that was why it was presented, but it was turned down at that particular time.
All right, any other discussion there? All right, resolution 23-275, approved department space realignment. And this is one that was tabled a few weeks ago.
Right. We wanted to get some information as it relates to the lease agreement, and get some better numbers regarding the cost to complete the realignment. So you have updated cost in front of you, totaling $80,000, and those that $80,000 is broken down for you as to everything that it does. And then, Herman, if you don't mind, will you please share with the council what you learned from the owner of the building, please?
Yes, we leased that building, we've done that for years. I've just talked to both the lessors, and in order for us to not to be responsible entirely for the lease, they have to approve any sublease that we would enter into, plus they have to approve the use of that sublessee. And so they, as I shared, I've just talked with them in the last few weeks, and they're agreeable for us to seek someone to sublease it and bring it back to them for approval. That's where we are.
All right, any questions?
I've got one, I've got a few. Now, our agenda calls for $100,000, isn't it? The background information, not 80. I think that's what I read, was 100,000.
I didn't hear you.
I think our agenda information shows $100,000, is that not accurate?
Okay, this is the most current information that we have right here.
Okay, so I guess my question is, a month ago, we had no numbers, and now we've got nice round numbers, $100,000, then we have $80,000. Here, there is no mention of, this is Fort Decatur and other items, there's no mention of moving to the depot that I can find here in this 80. But the fact is that we had no numbers, now we got nice, round, concise numbers. It's hard for me to believe these numbers. I mean, does anybody on this council believe these numbers, actually? I mean, they're just, it's almost like we're just throwing numbers together.
Don't look at me, I'm not on the council.
Okay, all right. I just, to me, and I'll say this too, that previous mayors have tried to make this change, and they've looked at this, and it was cost prohibitive before. So I don't know how now with inflationary numbers that it's cost effective to do it now when it wasn't before with previous mayors, so.
You do agree if we could get out of the annex, that's a good thing, as the lease expires?
That would probably be a good thing, but according to what Herman just said, even if we make these changes, we're still subject to them saying no.
I think that's a valid point. I'm just saying it would be good to get out of the lease eventually.
It would be good for us to get out of any leases that we have. I don't disagree with that.
Please, y'all do understand, the city of Decatur till December 31st, 2025 is responsible for this lease. Now, if we can sublease it and capture some of the funds from that sublease, somebody else paying and doing the maintenance, but we are still going to be responsible to the end of this.
That's exactly right. I guess what I heard you say though, Herman, was that if someone comes in and we want to sublease it to them, they have the right to say no. So even if we make all of these changes for $80,000 or $100,000 or $200,000, whatever the actual number is, then we still have an opportunity to continue paying that lease over there because they might say no. Was that what I heard?
Yeah, they turned down the tenant.
If they do not approve our sublease and the sublessee, the answer to your question is we still have the lease and we cannot sublease it. They have to approve it, yes.
But what he said is that they seem agreeable.
They seem agreeable to us looking. I mean, now at the last meeting that we discussed this, I asked if we had someone in mind already, and the answer that I got was no. So if we don't have anybody, then we don't know what we're gonna get. We don't know who's gonna apply, who's gonna ask us to lease that thing. So they might be agreeable, and then they might turn around and say no after we spend all this money. Okay, all right, my question's been answered.
All right, any other discussion?
Just another point that this realignment will bring the planning department from the annex into City Hall, which will be more beneficial to serving our customers and for the planning department working with the departments that they currently work with. And it will also put our police department back under one roof, which has been something that PD is wanted to do for some time. The two that will not be here at City Hall, HR and finance are good with not having to be here in the building. So we'll be making good use of our space.
We're also talking about using Fort Decatur for human resources, where we would use the gym for testing, which takes that away from our citizens. We're talking about taking council chambers away, which even though these council members, and I don't use my offices very much, doesn't mean that council members in the future won't need theirs. So again, we're talking about a lot of different changes, a lot of different.
Testing will be done in the Commodore room, not in the gym.
Okay, and my understanding initially that was gonna be done in the gym, so. We can move.
All right, anything else? All right, ordinances, ordinance 234570, approve Crown Castle fiber agreement approval.
Crown Castle is seeking permission to use Decatur Utilities poles in the city of Decatur right-of-way to install what's called small cell telecommunication. That's little units. There will be more of these than towers because small cell units do not have the coverage or capacity, so there will be more of them. But this will be our first opportunity to respond to small cell. We have a small cell ordinance in place, and they will comply with that, but that's their request. We grant them permission to use our right-of-way, and of course, Decatur Utilities will review pole attachment agreements. But these are smaller units, but there are more of them along the right-of-way.
All right, any questions there?
Of course, this is an ordinance, and it takes 2 votes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? Mayor?
Yes, I have something. About 3 weeks ago, Friday, I had one of our residents to phone me and ask if I had time for a visit. And I told him that I did. He's not only a resident, but he's a friend. He's very involved in our community on many levels of service. And so anyway, during the course of the visit, he shared that he had sold his business. He was in the final details of selling his business. And then just here recently, he shared that that sale was complete. And he has a desire to serve our city as mayor. And spending time with the individual, knowing him like I do, watching him serve the city in a variety of roles, he has done that in a way that a public servant that I think everybody would be pleased with would serve. And he has a heart for public service. However, he's got to earn that ability, and there might be other candidates to come up that will be excellent in that role as well. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of candidates to come up. The next campaign is, our election is in 2025. I'm 63 years old. In 2025, y'all are good at math, I'll be 65 years old. I don't look forward or don't have any desire to get out and campaign knowing that there's someone capable of serving as the mayor of our city. And so that said, I will not seek another term for the office of mayor. Now, so know that my decision was made 3 weeks ago when my friend and I visited. And I can tell you that whenever I left to go home that night, the freedom I experienced was amazing. It was very nice, and it's been, up until here recently, a lot of freedom. So I'll serve the next 2 years for this wonderful city. We've got a lot of opportunities ahead of us. We know we've got some things that we need to address. We have people here tonight regarding those. And when I leave this area of service, I hope that I'll have a few more years to work, maybe do something in business development, something like that. But I want to thank these guys here for the time we've had, but we got 2 more years to go, and they'll be big years. And that's really me saying that this is not a time, I don't think, to give my attention to campaigning or worrying about upcoming election, things of that nature. It's focusing solely on the city of Decatur. That's the main thing. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mayor. We will move into public comment. And we have a whole lot of people signed in, and typically, I think you might have been here last week. I'll just move down the list in order, and if you want to speak and you signed in, you can speak. We do 3 minutes at the podium, state your name, and I think most of you have signed in with your address. We do need that as well. This is an opportunity for the public to address the council with questions. It's not necessarily like a Q&A, and it's certainly not a Q&A for city employees. This is a council meeting, so questions addressed. I know it's easy to just kind of point in that way anyway, but try to address the council. There may be some back and forth of council members request or want to answer a question if possible, but there may not be. My only request is that I thought last week we had what I thought was a start of a productive conversation. We can try to do that to keep it productive. That's what we need to do. If it becomes disruptive, I will just adjourn the meeting and I want everybody to be able to speak, but if the 5th person becomes disruptive, I want to give leeway, and I will give a warning. If it continues and we can't have a productive conversation here, I will just adjourn the meeting and we'll leave. So just wanted to put that out there, but I do want every person that signed in to have the opportunity to talk. So with that, we'll start. And again, I'm just going down the list, and I will do my best to, I'm not the best at reading some of the writing, but hopefully we'll figure out who it is. First I had Colby Burns, I believe. Yes, sir.
You want me to say my name and?
Yes, sir. Just your name is fine. You signed in.
Burns Colby Michael.
Okay.
I'm not really good at public speaking, so I want to bring up that I've only been living in Decatur for like a week and a half. Moved out from the east side of Morgan County, so I'm not really too familiar with city laws and stuff like that. But from the time that I've been here, I have not seen a community come together this much for somebody since 2020 when the George Floyd protests happened. I was in Huntsville for those, and everybody has their own opinion about George Floyd, you know, you like him or not, but I have not heard one single bad thing about Steve Perkins. Everybody says he was an amazing man. Even people that have not seen any footage yet of camera footage from outside the houses, it's been, once they've seen it, they're like, oh, this was a great man. It wasn't hurting anybody, was a father, brother, husband, churchgoer, and all that. And it really hurts my soul because I don't go to church much anymore. I grew up Baptist church, so I'm not really church going anymore, but I still keep the faith as much as I can, still have my Bible on me, still read it a lot, but it really hurts when somebody like that is, their life is taken away. It just tugs on my soul, and I want to bring forth something. If the department keeps the narrative that they've had ever since the shooting happened, and the footage of the houses near there show a different narrative, why has not anybody from the department come forward with a change of heart and apologized for pushing a false narrative on the people? I mean, y'all seen the footage, right? Have y'all seen the camera footage from around the houses that people have put out? So it goes against what the police department and the news media have put out. So you know, as a Christian, that kind of hurts. And I know a lot of department members, y'all up here are probably Christians, a lot of the police department members, police officers are probably Christians, but how has none of y'all come out and said that unfortunately we have pushed something that is not true and we're terribly sorry? I mean, you know the Ten Commandments, right? Lying is a sin. To me, I kind of feel like that's pushing a line onto the city members and stuff. So that's what I want to ask. So why is not somebody came forth?
And I'll respond to that. That was 3 minutes. Just
I'm
so
sorry,
that
I
the
do
sound.
apologize.
You're good. No, you were good on the time. And Terrence actually asked this similar question last week, and what I said was that I understand that question. I would say personally, what I have viewed, I would agree with what you have to say. I do think as that investigation unfolds, that if what the statement that was put out initially is different than that, there should be a retraction and a change in our initial statement.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all for the council. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, my next signed in, Anissa. Okay. Sophia, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. My name is Anissa Sophia, and I just want to know, with the knowledge of the excessive and unwarranted force and knowledge of the responsibility of the chief, Todd Pinion, to ensure all officers are properly trained to not use unwarranted force, can each official independently respond to the following question? Will you request or advocate for the termination of Chief Todd Pinion? I'll ask again. Will you request or advocate for the termination of Chief Todd Pinion, with him being the chief of police and ensuring that his officers are properly trained?
No,
No?
no.
Okay.
I would.
So I want to state that I am the 7th lineage generation in this city, right? And there is a certain dynamic that the city government and officials are used to. But what you all fail to realize is that we're killing Steve Perkins, who is an asset to this community, that he is shifting this atmosphere, which means city, how you all are used to things and your friends and the public that you think represent us, that no longer will happen. There are new people, youth, who are rising up, and we will make sure that we advocate and we make changes for our community. Amen. Y'all have a good day.
All right, next I have Terrence Adkins.
Terrence Atkins. I want to start off first by putting that picture there so everyone on the stage understands that they have a duty to every citizen in Decatur, Alabama. Because Steve is not here to advocate for himself, but his community is here to advocate for him. So my question to the council is, majority of the people are advocating for the recusal of Scott Anderson due to him actively not wanting to make recommendations, which is his job as the prosecutor. Council, are you open to requesting or advocating for the recusal of District Attorney Scott Anderson?
Scott Anderson works for the county. We have no authority over Scott, so he's actually elected. He's an elected official. He's not.
Will you advocate for his recusal?
Based on what I know, I would say no, but everybody else can answer their which I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you said the reason you thought he's dodged. I think you said something. I'm not sure.
Majority of the people are advocating for the recusal of Scott Anderson. The majority of your citizens in the city of Decatur. are asking for the recusal of Scott Anderson due to him actively not wanting to make recommendations, which is his job as the prosecutor. Counsel, are you open to requesting or advocating for the recusal of District Attorney Scott Anderson?
We're not, I think I explained, this is not a Q&A, and if somebody would like to, I answered the first question. I've tried, I'm not gonna answer every question. Okay? That's
Silence is compliance, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Atkins. Next, I have Danny Safaya.
My name is Danny Safaya. I don't have any pre-selected questions, but everything I'm about to say is gonna just flow. I don't care who anybody God is. I don't care who anybody prays to. I don't care what you do in your private life. That's none of my business. We can't focus on what someone thinks privately. But we supposedly live in a nation of rules and laws. And I say that to say that without the understanding that we all know right from wrong, then the rules and the laws that we put on paper make no sense. They have no jurisdictions in our mind. So when I say that and I come forward before you guys, a few moments ago when the first gentleman got up here to speak, he asked a question if everyone had saw the video circulating online. And everyone nodded their head, everyone said that they had seen it. So with that being said, regardless of what laws and what jurisdictions that you have, we all know right from wrong. And the question I would like to ask is that if we know right from wrong, is the people on this council prepared to state that, not by what they heard, not by what they think, but from what you saw? Were the people involved in the murder of my friend, and a lot of people's family and friends in here, Steve Perkins, do you or do you not believe that this was a situation and a problematic and a wrong situation that happened that night? That's all I want to ask. And if you could put it on the record, if not, then we know where your heart lies.
Again, is anybody, I'll say, well, Herman, did you have something?
Well, all I'm sharing is, we're waiting to get the information back. You as a council. I mean, anyway, the council can say what you want, but we're waiting to get that information back, and that's what we're waiting on. And to evaluate prematurely, I understand the question, but it's up to y'all to decide.
Well, here's
really
what
somebody else.
if that's the case, then here's what I'll say. I'll answer your question. Based on what I have seen, which is not everything, and I think that's true of everybody in here, what I saw was not right. I also want to say this. I want y'all to listen. There's a lot of, you guys know this, there's a lot of virtue signaling online, and I'm very hesitant. I don't want standing at this. I came on Thursday night. I came by myself. It's not about me, and I hate even talking with cameras because it's going to be on the news, and then it looks like it's about me. And it's not about me. The reason I came on Thursday, it wasn't about anybody but one person and the family. And so, and when I'm sorry for going on, but when I was elected, I said there's a lot of hard decisions, nothing like this that I thought I would ever sit up here and address. There was a lot of hard decisions I knew I would have to make, and what I said was, you get distracted by all this stuff about there's a case being investigated, and that stuff's important. Investigations have to play out, there's a process. But I said I would always go back to, and I've told some of these guys this, I will do the right thing. And I'm not gonna give you every answer you like. I mean, it's just not gonna happen. We don't all agree on everything, but I felt like I needed to answer that question, so. And I don't want standing ovations and claps, and none of us do. That's not why we serve. It's not why we serve, so. That's all I'll say, but I thought that was a fair question to answer. There's hard questions for us to answer that really do have to do with the investigation. That was a fair question to answer. So, all right, Anthony, I'm not sure, Hunterwood Place. Okay. Yeah, there's people watching online and they can't hear you or see you.
I'm not one to be all like that either, so. But, a lot of people know me here. I've lived here forever. I'm a local business owner. This happened at the timing of renewal of my licenses. I haven't walked back into that courthouse because I don't feel like I've been sick. I was at the beach with my family when this happened, and it hasn't sit right with me from the very beginning. Doing something that I've contacted the same department to ask help on repossessions of buy here, pay here cars in daytime and stuff. Somehow, something slipped and got allowed to do something that should have never even been done to be assisted on. And then on top of that, something we haven't even seen yet, but we have videos of other altercations, but this first trip over by this mystery repo man. If a repo man calls the police at 1:30 in the morning to go get a car on repo, and there's already been something out of place, why wasn't he just told to go the hell home and take it up another day, and then still go do your policing and pull up with your lights and knock on the door and say, hey, we got a report that you came out here and threatened a man for his life and pulled a gun on him. There's a lot of stuff that's been missing since the beginning. It has not set right with me. I never knew Steve. I knew his wife. But I know a lot of people in this city, and a lot of people know me. And this ain't right. And my last question is for the people who need some type of answers. Y'all are the people we elect, and you are the mayor that works with these people we elect. What are y'all doing to put any kind of pressure? I know there's rules. I know there's ways to work it out. If this was your son, if this was your family member, would you still be sitting up here kind of being sly and not talking about things? Or would you come out and do what's really right? Like, do what your heart wants me to do. That question that you answered, thank you for answering it. Because some of y'all won't answer it. You just sit. I mean, like, what's going on, man?
Sir, you don't know what we have or haven't. You don't know what we have or haven't.
And I understand that.
No, you don't. You're not the way you're talking. You don't know.
That's your problem, Ted. You started up the whole city the other day over something that you took one soundbite from.
No, hey, look, I know.
Did you stay for the whole vigil? Did you stay for the whole vigil?
I stayed for most of the vigil. I had to stay the whole vigil.
6:30 in the morning, you was putting up an interview on TV with the whole backdrop, a TV screen of one sentence, and the whole bottom of the topic was one statement.
Yes, sir.
And it caused businesses to shut down. I'm a business owner. We lost revenue that night.
Hey, man,
we lost revenue that night. And what I'm saying is, that's not good either.
Okay, but you said that we are not doing anything. You don't know what,
I said I want to know what kind of pressure that y'all are doing.
And we are doing our jobs as best we can. We have limits. We don't have any influence over Aaliyah. We don't have any influence over the court.
Do you have influence over the Decatur Police Department public page?
You know what we do and do not have influence over. You're making things up.
All right, Nick Perkins is next.
First of all, good evening. My name is Nicholas Perkins. I'm the brother of Stephen. I'm sure I don't have to tell you who he is. I'm not here to be disruptive. I respect you guys as much as you respect me. Because it seems like, and I know we know each other, we've had encounters before because of the city. I do have 2 questions though, and I'll be out of your hair. What is this council and this mayor doing to help implement new changes in policies and procedures for this police department?
We are working with the Decatur Police Department. I work directly with Chief Pinion. Chief Pinion, Nick, let me start by telling you again, I'm very, very sorry about the loss of your brother. Chief Pinion is working with a command staff that has years of experience. I will tell you that there are things that are being done that would, I hope will address your questions, but proof is in the pudding.
I think, Nick, what I would say is once we understand everything that happened, and again, there is a process, I think all of us, I can't speak for everybody. I'll say me, and I would expect everyone would advocate for a review of all those procedures and policies to change. That need to change. So that's
I would agree with that. I think as the investigation plays out, we will know what, and you know, my opinion is this was preventable. And so how do we get to that point, and what could be changed so that we don't come back around to this, be it 1 year or 50 years later? But we'll have to see what policies that would be that we could change.
Okay. You just stated, and this is my last question, that you don't have influence over the leader. I understand that totally. But the DA, you do have influence over. He's your friend, he's your colleague. So, what pressure is this council and this mayor applying to him as DA for an arrest and indictment, since you have 2 years left and you want to serve the best way you can?
Yes, sir. So he needs the evidence presented to him from Aaliyah, is our best that I understand, for him to be able to move forward with a decision. Until he gets that, he will not be able to do anything. He doesn't have enough evidence. There would be he doesn't have anything that he can present to the court.
And I understand that. I get that. But the evidence is coming. So again,
yes, sir.
What pressure?
We would have to see his reaction to that. I mean, he's going to see the evidence and make a decision or not. And then I think as citizens, like you will, we don't make that decision as a body. We would make that decision how we would want to approach that within a person that we voted for or against. We vote for Scott just like everybody else in here does.
Precisely.
For or against. So we would have to make that decision based on his or others' decision based on the investigation.
On the investigation.
Results. Yeah.
But you do want to do the right thing, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just making sure. You have influence. I would hope that you would use it correctly.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Nick. Angela Perkins.
My name is Angela Perkins. I am the wife of Nick Perkins, the sister-in-law of the deceased Steve Perkins. Cool thing about me right now is that 2 of my questions already been asked, so I won't waste your time with those again. And most people have a lot of questions about what are we going to do about the case. My question is more futuristic, because right now what the leadership has showed us is that, and not all, some of the leadership has showed us that some citizens matter more than others. They've shown us that they're more retroactive than proactive. Even tonight, some of our councilmen were quick to answer a question with no heart. That bothers us as citizens. Some of us in this room probably have never voted ever, but I promise you in 2025, we will elect a new mayor. So my question is specifically to you, Mr. Jacob. And I had this question to you before you even answered, but this makes it even more welcoming. Will you, if your citizens look to you and challenge you to be just, to groom yourself, to educate yourself on how to be a just mayor for every citizen in Decatur, would you accept that challenge?
I will not run for mayor. I'm sorry. I appreciate the question, but I will not run for mayor.
My follow-up question is that, would you guys be involved in making sure that whoever's elected is one that is solid for everybody, that have the heart that I almost want to say that you have?
I think this situation, and I mean, this is not about me, but has rocked everybody's, I ran for mayor, or I'm not running for mayor. I ran for council, and this type of situation just never, I thought it's such a tragic situation. But maybe it is I heard somebody the other day say something along the lines of, Steve lost his life, but the impact he can make going forward is gonna be remembered for generations. And I think that does start with leaders in the community. A lot of you are sitting out here, and how we can engage together. I know there's a lot of anger, and it's direct. We're sitting up here as figureheads, as leadership, but it starts with us. And right now, like I told Terrence, I want to answer all your questions, and if I had the answers to your questions, I would tell you the answer, but I can't. When somebody comes and they want the road paved, we can do that, we can fix that. But in this situation, I think there's opportunity to learn from this and engage every community, not just your own district, but be involved in the whole city. So I will not run for mayor, but I do love this city. I think you have to run for this office. And I will do everything I can, whether it's as an elected official or as just a citizen, to help maybe bridge some of the gaps that have been there that I probably was blind to, and then move forward.
Appreciate your answers.
Yeah.
I would like to tell you the reason why we clap, it's not specifically just for you, but the Bible says that from the heart reaches the heart. And sometimes it's not about who you are, what you look like, but if you're honest and you actually talk about real things and just stand up for right, you'll connect with more people than you actually think.
Veranda Sales.
Good evening. My name is Veranda Sales, and I am a citizen of Decatur, Alabama. I've been here all my life. I never thought in a million years that this would happen here. It hurts. And not only that night hurt, it's a Saturday night. Protesters were protesting. The Decatur police are still harassing the protesters. They're attacking, tackled a young lady down, took 4 police officers, they chased her, then tackled her down. That's not cause for. We peacefully protesting for justice. We have that right. So if we have that right, the police shouldn't be harassing us the way they are. They point their guns. We got it all on video. ready to shoot. We just walking and being nice. Why? Can you call them off? Like you could ask somebody to call off the people. Can you call off those police officers and ask them to let up on us? We want justice. We're not gonna let up. We're not gonna tear down. We're not gonna burn up. Nothing. We want justice. That's all we ask for. But we're not gonna keep letting no police harass us and badger us the way they're doing. When I see a police officer now, I jump because I'm scared. You know, I got fear in me now. And I shouldn't be like that. I pay taxes too. So answer me that question. I don't know which one or who, what, you know, somebody.
Well, I'll tell you that, and I've used this phrasing throughout my 7 years of serving as mayor, that I don't know how to make an arrest. I don't know how to put a fire out. I don't know how to line a baseball field. There's a lot of things in this city that I don't know to do, but we have subject matter experts that do know those things.
But you did tell them to come out there. You had the National Guard out there.
No, ma'am.
Yes, you did.
Well, you're wrong.
They were out there in the parking lot of the Morgan County. You had Huntsville police. You wasting our tax dollars.
Okay, I didn't provide any instructions, ma'am. I'm telling you.
When you made that news statement, that was the okay then.
Ma'am?
When you made that statement on the news about the fire, about the lawyer when he made that statement about burn or whatever, that was enough then. The police took it upon themselves, or somebody told them. They didn't just come out there by themselves.
They heard that off of what Mr. Merritt said.
So they just came out there. They had to get permission to come in our city.
No, ma'am.
Whatever.
Not from me. Not from
Somebody,
me.
but we just want to know.
I'm
Why
telling-
are the
I'm-
police, you said you didn't know, you couldn't answer
I'm
some of
telling
the
you
questions,
that
but why are the police badgering us? Why are they pointing their gun? Why are they chasing people? Why?
I hadn't.
You don't know, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then just say you don't know. Don't come up with no water down this
I don't know that that's happened.
Do you want to see it? I can show you on tape that it's being done. I saw it for myself
Well, if
Saturday night. It scared the hell out of me.
it's happened, I can guarantee you
Must be stop it,
that
because I'll show you the tape.
what our police department is doing now is making sure that they provide for the safety of all of our citizens.
They were on the sidewalk. They were on the sidewalk. The police chased. The police chased the young lady, tackled her down. She in the hospital now. She got a concussion. You know, 3 of them got on top of her and tackled her down and put her in handcuffs. It took 3 police out for a woman. Really? I'm angry and I'm mad about that.
Okay.
Because I'm a woman. You know, I want change in the city. I don't want to be harassed by the police. I want to know that they're going to protect me when I call on them. Not for them to call on them and then they come out there and go against me. No. Enough is enough. Thank you.
Chief Pinion, do you, and knows a good answer, any response to any of that?
He said there were some arrests made.
He don't have his points with him, and there were some arrests that were made.
There were arrests that were made, is what the chief said. The next person signed in, if you were behind Veranda, I can't. Well, there's a lot of people still left that have signed in, but it looks like Watson or.
Oh, no address?
Yes.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
And since 95% of the questions I had was answered already, or not answered, should I say looked over, what I want to know is, I know we can't release the footage to the public because of the investigation that's going on. Once it left y'all's hands, it went to the DEA. But what we're going to do about personally releasing some of the footage to the family to give them peace and closure to what's going on, that can be implemented. That you can make that happen. You can make that happen.
We don't have possession of the
And
footage.
furthermore, people keep pointing the finger at Pena. You would have named all the officers called out. The mayor told us to do it. The mayor told us to do it.
No,
we
they
got
didn't.
all the video, brother. The video is out here on public. It's your face, your name is what the officer kept saying. Wasn't it Lindsay? Lindsay. So all of it's there, brother. So the power was in your hands and not Pinion. So Pinion's under the gun by something they were following your orders that they said on the videos that we have, and they're all over the world.
Sir, you're making that up. I didn't give any instructions. I'm at home in bed asleep.
Well, then you take that up with the officer that mentioned you.
Okay.
And we got video proof of it. But
Okay.
what I'm saying is, what can we do about speeding up the process, at least showing the family the footage? I know we can't release it to the public because, like I said, it infringes on what's going on with the investigation. But releasing it to the family, can we do that?
We don't have possession of the footage.
I know DA got it, but y'all got power, y'all got pull, y'all got influence.
State has it.
I know who has it. I talked to the state, the head of the state. I know exactly what was said.
Okay, then you know the answer.
I know the answer could be released.
Okay.
That I do know from the horse's mouth.
Not by the city.
I know from the horse's mouth. Talked to him for a whole hour last night. So that can be done. And y'all do have power to influence that. Facts. See, this is what's wrong with the city right here.
There's nothing wrong with the
Y'all
city
stay
up
quiet
here.
when we got personal questions.
Hey, so look, I would say, I do wish the footage could be released specifically to the family.
Exactly.
I don't, my, again, personal opinion, I don't know if the family wants the footage public. That's not for me to decide, but I do, I don't.
They want the footage.
I don't know if the city can. That's someone else would have to decide that, but I do wish that we could release that to the family. I don't know that we can.
It can be. Partial videos can be released to the family.
Partial videos?
I know that for a fact. I've already talked to them. But the influence that we have going on right now is we got a peaceful protest going on. Yeah, we know there's paid activists that came in the other day to start up stuff. That's not us in this city. We're crying out for answers. We're crying out for peace. But I'm watching my brothers and sisters get slammed on the ground. Y'all have committed more crimes to us in this protest than anything else we have done around here. We need some answers, bro. We need to be able to peacefully protest. When you keep provoking and pouring gasoline on the fire, you're gonna get a fire, man. And it's not gonna be able to be put out. And it's not gonna care whether you're black, white, pink, or purple. Period. It's gonna be bloodshed, the innocent bloodshed, which y'all are doing right now to us while we're crying out, the people of the congregation, the fruit of this city, man. Can we water the root? Because nobody ever noticed the root of the tree dying until the branches started to fall. Let's nourish this root, man. It's pain in here. That's all I gotta say to you. Be the fruit of the seed that you plant. You cannot plant an apple tree and expect it to produce strawberries. Therefore, you gotta be the fruit of the seeds you plant in your community, in your children, in your marriage, in your home, in your job. We follow examples, not advice. And this is a poor example we see from you. You want to implement that you gonna retire? What you gonna do, brother? You want to retire? You let us know you don't care. Look at your face, man. We all from here. I've been here 40 years. I got mixed kids here. I've been harassed. I've been pulled over. But I got respect for the ones that respect me. But you, man, you're still living in the 60s and 50s, man. We can see it in your face. Make some change in your heart. Because God is who you got to answer to.
Hold on. No, wait. I'm sure. All right, we're gonna move on, and I'm having a hard time again. Alexander, maybe last name? Starts with a J, first name? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm Jeanette Alexander, and my question to y'all are, the whole time this thing's been going on, have none of y'all been out here to be with us and just support us? Where were y'all at? Where y'all been?
I've been out here every night. I've come and shook hands out here. I've
Okay,
talked to
that's you,
people out
but
here.
what about the rest?
I don't know about the rest. I'm not speaking
So
about the rest.
I've been a couple of times. I spoke to a lot of people in this room last night. I had good
That's all
conversations.
questions.
All right, Chiquina Crittenden.
I'm Chiquina Crittenden.
My question is, the officers, why are they still being paid? Chief, Mayor, why are the taxpayers' dollars still paying these officers? Why haven't they been fired? Not just the one that's off.
Yes, ma'am.
But all of them that were there that night, because we've all seen the tape. And one thing we know for sure is they were wrong. They
Okay.
didn't follow protocol. If it was any other kind of job, a person that didn't do their job right, they would be fired immediately.
Okay, so what you have, I guess I'll try to explain the system as it works. So let's say this particular employee, he works for the police department, then his supervisor meets with our HR department and typically the legal department, and they make a recommendation for some type of action from the office to the office of the mayor. In this case, the action that was presented to me was for a leave of, oh goodness. Administrative leave, thank you. Administrative leave. So that's what I approved and that's what's taken place. So it's based on what the city is able to do as to what action is taken.
So nobody else is outraged about this video, these videos that have came out. Everybody here is. So it seems like somebody else would be asking you, why is this man still being paid? Why haven't they been fired?
So the information that the departments have that they can submit to me, I think they've done just that.
And that was the recommendation, to put him on leave, just that one, not all the ones that were there that
Yes, yes,
didn't
ma'am.
follow protocol, just that one?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we have Twana Green.
Good evening to each of you. As I sit and I look and I listen and I hear everything that's going on, I also know Steve is working. Years and years ago, my grandparents attended the march in Washington. And years later, I'm attending a similar protest here in the city of Decatur, which it grieves me. My question to each of you, to piggyback off of what was already stated, if that was your son, your uncle, your grandson, would you really sit here and wait to hear we are waiting on the investigation to be completed? How quickly would you have advocated for those officers to be arrested or fired?
I told somebody this the other day, I would be standing at the front of City Hall wanting answers. Regardless of what the answer I was given, even if it was factual, that there was an investigation that had to happen, I still would be demanding answers. And it goes back to what we talked about last week. I want to answer your questions. I honestly don't know the answer. I mean, it's frustrating for us to not be able to help and not be able to answer the question.
I'm on record saying the same thing.
You're on record saying the same thing.
Yes, ma'am.
In my closing remarks, I just say that each night, it is my prayer that each night, around 1 o'clock in the morning to 2:30, 3 o'clock, that God will wake you up out of your sleep, harden your hearts, and not allow you to rest. Ms. Zelma Perkins, her son is at peace. She can't rest like you can. Nicholas Perkins, who just left, his brother, he can't rest like you can. So it is my prayer that God will wake you up each and every night until everybody get an answer. Thank you.
Elizabeth Raylan.
Good evening. My question is on tonight, because I gotta make sure that this does not continue. I wanna know what policy
understand, yes, it is.
Okay. All right, so even with that, my question is, for what happened Sunday, was that organized with the family, or was that the city's own doing? So what happened?
I'm not sure which event you're discussing.
The prayer vigil.
From what I understand, that was organized by some pastors in the community, and I don't know any details other than that.
Okay. So even with all that has taken place, this is another question I have. Out of all the questions that has hit this board, I thank you for answering, and I thank the mayor for answering. I haven't heard from nobody else. Anybody else have anything? Because I believe that was your district.
It was. And I don't want to just regurgitate what the council president has said, but my heart is hurting. I've been in prayer for the Perkins family. The one thing that I hope for through all of this is accountability and transparency. I've got the same questions everybody else does. Same questions.
I understand that, and even with those same questions, and we all are in disgust. I pay taxes just like everybody else in here. And my thing is, I said this even in my pulpit, for what that officer done, I don't ever want to see a badge on him ever again. I want him fired. That's what I feel. I want him fired.
Let me just, and I said this to a few people that were there last night, and I talked to you yesterday afternoon and throughout the week. I do struggle to see how that officer could be back in our community. You know, back in the streets in a patrol car. That's a personal, that's a decision to be made. I struggle to see how we could put that officer back in the streets. I don't know that we could. So. There were 3 on scene, yes, but I do struggle to see that, and I've told many people that the video tells a story, and it's tough to watch, and it's terrible to see, and I hated what I watched. So, if you want an answer, there you go. But that's my take on both of those.
So even with that take, it's horrible and all those things, but he's still getting paid.
I have the same question.
That's my problem.
Same
He's still
question.
getting paid because if an officer fell asleep in his car, y'all will terminate. If he was outside his zoning area, y'all would terminate. But this man shows up on a property and not knock on his door like a decent police officer, but he's gun-ho, excited, overheated, and another thing, what assessments are we doing for psychological evaluations? And I'm done.
Thank you. Victoria Tucker.
Good evening, everyone. A lot of my questions have been asked, but I just really want to vocalize from a wife and a mother's standpoint. I can only imagine what Mrs. Perkins is going through. And my husband already pointed it out because we were kind of doing our homework earlier, and we found out that you were the District 3 councilman, and you really haven't had a whole lot to say, so that's kind of got my antennas up. But as a wife that has a husband who is a defender of all of his things that belong to him, his property, protector of his family, he would have done the same thing that Steve did. And what happened was not right. Everything that's occurred from that moment to this very moment is not right. I don't know if I really even have a question, but I really would just like to hear from you because that's your district, that's your home, that's your area. Like me as a person, as a leader, I'm a nurse, and if anything happened to one of my patients and it caused a sentinel event where they passed away, they died, I'd be on the chopping block, real talk. And nothing's really happened with the officers that were involved. Mr. McMasters, I really need to hear from you.
Okay, no, that's fair. And it's, I've struggled, I have, because I've seen the same video, and it's just shaking me to my core. I've got 4 daughters.
Okay.
He's got 2 little girls.
Yeah.
There's a lot in common there.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Ladner said earlier, you never wish this, and sometimes words fall short. Usually they don't fall short with me. It's been strictly emotion.
Okay.
My heart's broken. It's broken for the Perkins family. I've got questions that I want answered.
Okay.
And I expect those answers. The one thing I have that I have prayed for in all this is accountability and transparency.
Same.
And you know, I struggle to put it into words. I truly do.
Well, I have another question. I hope you can put the answer into words. With everything that happened that night, and I know you saw like the footage and everything from the different camera angles and everything. 2 questions. Would you have done the same thing that Steve did as far as saying, you know, put my truck down, you know, what are you doing? Because that truck wasn't supposed to be taken. You would have.
I would love to answer that, absolutely.
Beautiful. You would have said the same, okay,
I would have
great.
I would have, you know, responded in a very similar way had I been awoken in the middle of the night to someone taking my truck.
And it didn't sound like they checked the VIN numbers on the vehicle, all those different things, just procedure-wise, you know. Question 2, and I just really want a straight-up like answer to that question. Do you think the same thing would have happened if a white man were involved?
Yes, you mean as far as the...
Everything playing out play by play from the beginning to the end.
Steve was a white man.
Yeah.
The answer is yes, absolutely. So they would immediately...
That's not to cause commotion. I really wanted to hear what you all had to say.
Thank you. I think it's a very good question. So the process would be the same. The call would immediately go from Decatur PD to Aaliyah to come in and do the investigation. I think I've answered your question.
Hold on. I really want to hear the mayor at the moment.
The councilman mentioned some of the things that he's praying for, but I believe that he's, I'm going to speak for myself. We're wanting what you're wanting. We're wanting this. We wish this had never, ever happened. It has. There's a mother, there's a wife grieving, all these things that we keep saying. We want this resolved so that we're not having to sit up here and answer these questions whenever we know that there's many that we can't because we don't have the answers to them or we don't have the authority to answer them. Then it's going to come to whenever it finally makes its way, the report or the investigation to the district attorney. There he's going to have some decisions to make. Does it go to the grand jury? Does it not go to the grand jury? Again, those will not be in the hands of this council or the mayor, the city of Decatur. And then let's say that it doesn't, boy, what happens then? If it does, then it goes to a jury, then you're looking at 16 months to 2 years before the next phase. I mean, I'm taking this down a long process is what I'm trying to say.
Understood.
That's all I'm sharing with you.
Okay.
There's a long ways to go in this thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Tucker. Michael Stovall.
Hello, my name is Mike Stovall. I've worked in this community for a long time. How you doing, Mr. Tabb?
I'm well.
Well, this is my question for you, or what my statement I'm going to say for you. Why is his department out of control? You're the manager of day-to-day operations. The council don't know everything that's going on, but you're the manager of day-to-day operations. Remember, I work for the city. That department of what I've seen on these videos of just different people, not only just what happened with the protest, what Ms. Veranda was talking about, but just different videos that people have sent me. His department's out of control. I don't know what happened when Chief Nate left, but that department is completely
out of control. They're pulling, these guns were so, there were some big guns. I don't know too much about guns or whatever, but it was some big guns, and they pointed them guns at those people, and they was beating on those people and all this kind of stuff. I mean, now how can I sit here and say I love Decatur and stand with you when you are allowing this department to do what the heck they want to do? That's not the way the city is ran. That's not the way that you're supposed to run. That is not policies and procedures, and I'm blaming you and Rochelle for it. Because she's over HR, that means that you all are not doing your job because you're so focused on youth services that you're not looking at what the police department is doing, and they're tearing down this community. And it's happened under your watch, and it's your fault. And I'm glad that you're not seeking re-election, because I was one of the ones that put you in that seat the first time. And don't you ever forget it.
Cornelius Eccles.
Hey, how y'all doing? I guess I don't come respectful, peace, love, and law. I just think I'm gonna start off with my grandmother got shot in the neck back in 1979 from marching on Vine Street by the KKK. She went and took it to court. They gave those fellas community service and $1,000 fine. So I say this, by saying this, I've been on the Constitution pretty much ever since I got arrested for disorderly conduct. And I took it to trial. I told her I didn't absolutely do nothing to the department. And ever since then, I had hate in my heart towards the police department. You know what I mean? All police officers ain't bad, I know that. You know what I'm saying? But there's some that are. You know what I'm saying? But also, I'm here for the protesters as well, because I think we forget the Constitution sometimes. And I love it. You know what I mean? I don't hold an oath, but I love it. And I make sure they uphold it. I'm pretty sure the people know that too. You know what I mean? Because all the police officers know me. But I'm gonna start by this, I guess, with the protesters. I'm just gonna read it out. This is a federal law right here. This Howlett versus Rose, 496, US 356, 1990. All federal court cases apply to state court cases as well. So if you play cards for the people that don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like the little joke, you got the big joke. Federal law is the big joke. State laws and ordinance is the little joke. You know what I'm saying? And I got this other one, it's called 18 USC 242. Whoever under the color of law, statute, ordinance, regulations, or custom willfully subjects any person in only state, territory, commonwealth, possessions, or district to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution and law of the United States. Sir, when I seen that officer, Mr. Lindsay, say that about you yesterday on the thing, I was like, you gotta be kidding me, man. Because I'm here for the protesters, and I'm telling you right now, if they get arrested on the disorderly conduct, a police officer cannot be the sole complainant on the disorderly conduct. It has to be a citizen attached to their complaint. Without that, I would be getting with every protester that got arrested, they would be filing complaints and civil suits. Now, I don't want to sue you now because it's going to be coming out of everybody's pocket. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really want it to happen, but I'm letting you know now. If they get arrested, I will be following them up so they can file a civil suit and be hitting everybody's pockets, even your pockets. You know what I'm saying? But if they commit a crime, I don't care about them going to jail. You know what I mean? Take them to jail. But if we're peacefully protesting, which is our constitutional right, cannot be deemed a crime at any time, sir. At no time. And the other officer said something about profanity as well. Come on, man. Like, he said you said it now. I'm just saying. He said you said it. And I was like, if he knew the law, it don't sound right, but I don't know if he just enforcing what he want to enforce. But you know what I mean? That's what I'm here. You got different people that play different parts on teams. You know, like, I guess, some people score points, some people rebound, whatever as far as in the basketball situation. I'm going to be the person that helps the community out with the rights. You know what I mean? Because it's our constitutional right, and it cannot be deemed a crime. Freedom of speech, assembly, however we come together, man, it cannot be deemed a crime. There's no permit needed for that at all. Federal law trumps anything, any state ordinance, any code, anything that you guys may have. Federal law runs everything. Everything, sir. You know what I mean? And I will be making sure that everybody, in that case, if they get arrested for disorderly conduct, even like that lieutenant, I forgot his name, that was pushing on that Garrett guy. You know what I mean? That's simple battery. Yes. And I will be getting with him to also make sure that he files a civil suit for that. Now, for it don't have to hit our pockets, can you please tell them? Because if you ain't got to tell them, but the city gonna get mad because when all these civil suits start rolling around and coming in from these protesters.
Just hit 3 minutes.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you. It's up to people if they want to respond. I mean, he's reading case law. It sounds like I'm not familiar with those particular cases, but I certainly can look into them. I mean, I don't know if you want that response. Cheryl Perkins, I believe.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Cheryl Perkins, and you know me well, Tabbo. I got out and I campaigned for you. I helped you get in the seat. But let me tell you something. I want all you all to know what he done. Steve is my first cousin. That was my aunt. You took her son away. You took our cousin away. But you know what put the icing on the cake, y'all? He come down to the family home at 7:30 Sunday night. You stood in the family room while my aunt was in there. She was hurting, already in tears. You come in there, and I want y'all to listen what your mayor did. You come in there, and you told her the reason you hadn't reached out to her because you was ill. Well, you look ill now. You look like, we look like we need to put on a mask because you're red in the face. But you stood there, and you told my aunt that the reason you hadn't come also, you told her some gossip out of the street that you had heard. While my aunt was hurt, her son is dead. I stayed in Dunbar. I stayed 3 blocks away from your daughter. You can go over there and you can visit your daughter. You can visit your grandkids. But you know what? My aunt got to go to Sterling Cemetery and visit Steve. She got to go out there and talk to him. But you can go and you can talk to your daughter. You can talk to your grandkids. But what can we do? But we gonna stand. You mess. And those police, we are Perkins. And we are strong family. And we stand together. And we gonna fight together. Now y'all can sit up here and y'all can believe this crap that they singing, that the DA cannot have that body cam released. That's a lie. Alabama Code Section 12-17-184 allows the district attorney to make a recommendation or advisor on the state investigation, the releasing of a footage or arrest from the cops. You want to read it? Anybody want to read it down here? Anybody? You want to read it?
When he gets the case, he can do that. That's correct.
But let me tell you, no, all cops not bad. There's some good cops out there. But let me tell you one thing. We got a bad mayor. You evil.
All right.
For you to come and you stand up in my auntie's room and say what you say. May God be with you.
Thanks, Mr. Perkins. I think Nevis Fuller.
Hello, my name is Nevis Fuller. I'm originally from Chicago. I moved to Decatur, Alabama about 10 years ago. I would like you all to realize this panel, they've answered questions. The gentleman has answered questions saying that he don't want it to be about him, but he's given heartfelt answers. But I want you to take a look at who hasn't spoke up here. But it's the one that looks just like us, that hasn't said a word. He's the one that's been rolling their eyes looking at the ceiling. Okay? All right? So we can protest. We can do that. But it matters on paper. So when these votes come out, we put these people in place. We do it by either voting or not voting. That's what we do. I'm here for the first reason is because I have a son who's 10 years old, and I want him to know that he has a father that's going to try to fight for him, that's going to try to curb the whatever's going on, the systematic racism, anything. I want him to know that. He's watching right now. The second thing is because Steve Perkins reminded me of myself. Why? Because he went to church on Sunday, and so do I. He loved his family, and so do I. He had children, so do I. And he achieved the American dream. He had a wife and children, and he bought his little pretty house in a quiet subdivision. But at one night, that was all taken away from him. And all we want, I believe, is justice, and we want accountability, and we want an arrest made. Because it's not fair for this police officer to sit at home on a paid leave and get his income while a lady, a mother, a wife has to figure out how to replace an income. That was he was the primary breadwinner of his home, just like a lot of us men are. And while he's sitting at home collecting his check, watching the news go by, she got to figure out how she's gonna pay her mortgage and her light bill. Because we all know you only get 3 days bereavement. It don't matter who died in your family. 3 paid days. And she has to constantly be reminded of what's going on over and over again. We want an arrest and we want justice. All right? The next thing I want to bring up is the protesters. There's videos now of people listening to police scanners. Chief, I don't know which one of you are, but I have heard that this is what they're saying about protesters. They're calling them idiots. They're calling them dummies. They're calling them antagonizers on the police scanners. That's what they're saying about the people that are peacefully protesting. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. Well, they burn down stuff. They ain't burnt nothing here. They're just walking with their signs, and they're being pulled out because they said the word ass or shit. That's not enough to be arrested. These people, they just want justice. And they want body cam footage. We've paid for it already. I'm a part of the community. I own a business. I have built several homes in Decatur. I've remodeled several homes in Decatur. So my money paying for the body cam. Okay? So guess what? You could have released the cam before all of this, before it got the change in hands, it could have been released. Because once it got the change in hand, now my hands are in the air. No, you should have released it to the family before you did it.
Next I have Tevin Johnson. I'm not sure. Well, I didn't see you over there. Sorry.
I just want to say we out here peacefully protesting with the police and everything, but we don't know who these other 2 officers are. They could be, now she touched on it earlier, they could be some of the ones that are out there with us. That means that's a conflict of interest. I mean, they need to be fired. All of them need to be fired, really. But if you're going to sit them down too. Because we don't want them out there with us because they could have they got a conflict of interest. I mean, why haven't they been fired? Why haven't they been put on leave? I mean, arrested and fired pretty much. But, if you're not going to do that, at least get them off the streets with us. Because, they're being aggressive towards us. We don't know who is who. And if we calling them, we out here saying, justice for Steve and Steve Perkins, they're mad. How do we know they're not mad? Because they were the ones there. They're mad because we're not on their side. So, they should be, we want them fired. So we want them arrested. But if you can't do that, at least sit them down. Don't have them out there with them. That's like a conflict of interest. They need to be at home somewhere. Let them be at home. But he says they're not. So just so y'all know, he says they're not. But Okay, also, yeah, as I was on, well, I didn't know he was up here at first, but I was gonna say to the mayor, since you said earlier, you opened that door up, you said, oh, you're friends with the police chief. Well, just advocate for him to go and tell them to fire all of them, at least take them off the streets. And can you please have your officers not be so aggressive? I mean, when they tell us not to get in the road, we standing on the sidewalk, they jacking people off the sidewalk. I mean, it's not fair to us. Can we not protest? I mean, that's something you need to deal with. And then they walk around with the big old guns. I don't know if they rubber bullets, tear gas, I don't know what. But I mean, you want me to shoot it? You want me to, I mean, come on, you antagonizing the people. Let us protest. If you can't get them as a chief, then sit them home. That's all I mean.
Maggie Porter.
I'm Katrina Ernst, and all I want is one thing right now from all y'all in this panel, because my youth is hurt, but not bad as I am, but I want to hear each one of you say justice for Steve Perkins out of each one of your mouths right now. Can each one of y'all say it?
I want justice for Steve.
I think everybody wants justice. You wanna do like one at a time, or y'all wanna like 1, 2, 3, or justice for Steve Perkins?
I want justice for Steve, and I'm gonna make my comment after all of you guys have spoken, because I've spoken with many of you today already, so I would like, if Mr. Fuller's still out there, bring him back in here. But justice for Steve, absolutely.
I think justice.
I want justice for Steve Perkins.
Huh? I haven't heard you.
I'm gonna withhold my comments to the end. When everybody gets done speaking, I'll make my statement.
That's fine, I'll wait until
All right, guys, that's everyone I had signed in, but I got you. I want to say this because last week, I think nobody had signed in and we allowed everybody to speak. We really do typically hold it to people that have signed in before the up to the meeting time starts. But I know there's others that want to talk. So what you're going to have to do is give your name and address. If you don't feel comfortable giving your address, you can write it on the paper. Yes, sir. If you would like to go ahead. It's right behind you. Sorry. He's coming. He was right behind you. He just raised his hand first.
How y'all doing? My name is James Craig. A lot of y'all know me, I'm Lavelle Craig. Steve, my cousin. Steve lived on Ryan Drive. I can't remember the address. Guess where I live at? 3910 Ryan Drive. Y'all hear me? 3910 Ryan Drive, around the corner. My wife asked me one day, baby, you wanna move? I said, for what? I'm comfortable. I have sat in my yard and went to sleep 2 or 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't even have no fence in my yard. I don't, because I felt safe. I had worked in the prison, I have been in the military and everything. And I didn't feel safe doing that stuff. But when I was at home, I felt safe. On 9/29, I don't feel safe in my house no more. Then I'm gonna let y'all know something else. A lot of y'all have spoke to the family, have been with the family, have sent y'all been notice to the family. I went down there and seen Cutting Tail early one day by myself. And y'all know why I went down there? Because I had a daughter murdered. So I didn't go down there. Woo! I didn't go down there to give her my condolences. I went down there just to listen to a mother, a parent that's in a club that we did not pick to join. My daughter got killed at a party, innocent bystander. by some thugs. My cousin Steve got killed at home by some thugs. If you had never lost a child, it's sad to lose a child. It's sad. Sometimes you can understand if it was natural cause. If, like Ms. Elm said, she said, Dale, and I just said, I told her, I said, I'm here to listen to you. I'm here to listen to you. She said, Dale, if my son would have died in a car accident or natural cause, it wouldn't hurt. And I said, yes, ma'am, I know. But to get woke up in the middle of the night, I got woke up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Same call. But the thing about my daughter got killed in 2014, murdered in 2014. Here in 2023 up in Norfolk, Virginia. And I still don't know who killed my child. But guess what? Ms. Zelma know. She know who killed her child. And this is a club y'all don't want to be a part of. And I Tab, any one of y'all upon the thing, I would never wish that upon none of y'all. Even upon my enemies. I don't want none of y'all to lose y'all child.
Thank you.
That's all.
Oh, it's me again.
My name is Justin Shepard. Y'all already know me. I live at 3936 Ryan Drive, right across the street from Steve Perkins' residence. I have a few complaints. First of all, I didn't appreciate you telling me to call your office and then you not even informing your staff that I was calling. That's a slap in the face. I waited till 11 o'clock to call your office. Why didn't you inform your staff, hey, there's a disabled veteran calling, this issue is important? Do you want to answer that question, Mayor?
Sure. We've got a lot going on right now at City Hall, sir. Whenever Susan asked me shared that you had called, I told her what you needed, and I think she...
Why didn't you give her a heads up?
I don't know that. I told you, we got a lot going on. Go ahead, what's your next question?
Well, my next question is actually directed at the police chief, but I'm going to ask you because, as I said at the previous meeting, responsibility, it starts at the top. Why is it that a Decatur police officer can make fun of a disabled veteran out there protesting? I think that's utterly disrespectful, and I don't appreciate it. And I could go to the VFW and the DAV and everybody national that I can. I don't appreciate it. So why are you allowing your officers to make fun of disabled veterans?
I have no knowledge of that, sir.
That happened just last night, right on the corner of the street over there. Huh! And you're out here on a cane. And then he hopped in his patrol car and left. I don't appreciate it. I put my life on the line for this country. To be made fun of for exercising my rights that I fought for? I mean, that's disgusting. That is utterly disgusting. And I hope you take it up with your officers too. And I hope that are you a veteran, sir? Well, I hope that there's some other officers on that force that have an issue with that. I got another question, and this might be directed at you. So, I don't know if any of y'all know, but I'm sure some people here do, Ahmaud Aldry. Why was that officer involved with that shooting charged with firing into the neighbor's house, but not charged for firing into my house? Anybody want to explain that? Is that being investigated? You know why it's not here? Because the state that y'all are claiming to investigate, you know what they told me? We know who fired the gun, and we know where the bullet came from. What more needs to be investigated? Attorney, you have any answers?
I don't understand your question.
Okay, so that officer fired rounds into my home. No state investigator, no city investigator has came in and sat there and said, okay, well, let's charge this police officer for firing into this veteran's home. Occupied dwelling. That is a crime which another officer in the United States has been charged with. Is that not a crime here?
We will wait till we get to the
Nobody's been out there taking pictures of my home. And I'm supposed to be getting this fixed so I can cover up the crime for you guys? I mean,
So I have a question, sir.
were you going to answer mine? Are you going to advocate for charges be filed against a police officer for firing into my home? You know I wake up at 2 o'clock every morning. Every morning, sir. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I have neighbors. I have people that I work out at the gym with. I have family members telling me that they see a difference in me, saying that I look like crap. And the only thing I can think to do with my time is to come out here and exercise my First Amendment right to protest, because it could have happened to me. I was about to come out there in that yard when bullets were flying in my home. And like I said, I understand you got a job. I get it. But I wish you'd be a little bit more personable. Just show compassion. Show that you care, sir. That's all I'm asking.
In an effort to do that, have you shared information with the claims department regarding your claim?
Well, your answer was to contact your attorneys, your law office, correct?
We have.
So should I not have legal representation before I go talk to your lawyers?
Sir, there's someone in City Hall, in the legal department, that handles claims.
Have you talked to them personally?
Yes.
And so why have you not asked them to reach out to me?
I'm asking you, did you file a claim like we asked you to last week whenever we gave you the card? Yes or no?
No, I have not, because you guys should be reaching out to me. I'm the victim here.
That's right. Thank you.
Well, I can't answer my last question here.
I think the time.
Yeah, I think.
Well, I just have one more question.
Quick.
It's just one more question, real quick. So if y'all continue to fail the community, I believe the people are going to get the DOJ involved. And I really, like everybody else said, I think everybody here loves the city. And I want to believe that y'all do. I mean, I just hope y'all try to take this seriously. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Darnell Shackford, and I've been a citizen of Decatur for 63 years. And Ted Bowden, I know you. I played football at Decatur High School, been a good man. My dad and mama, they were been good people here in Decatur, Alabama. Billy know me, everybody in here know me. I'm a Shackford. And I just don't appreciate what happened to our brother Steve. Let me tell y'all something. Right before Steve got killed, me and him ran into each other at AutoZone. And going back to Steve, he was a church member of mine. He was a family man. And he was a good guy, you know. And so right before Steve got killed, me and him ran into each other at O'Reilly. It was O'Reilly. We talked about 45 to an hour, you know, this very thing about polices, you know, around Decatur, you know. And not knowing that he was gonna be a victim of the police. Not knowing. Okay, the next day, well, late on that night, you know, I have a little golf cart, you know, and I was riding around, and, you know, just riding around, and one of y'all officers stopped me on my golf cart, and he stopped me, and I stopped and everything, and he asked me, he said, let me see your license. And like that, I told him that. Showed him my license and everything. Right down 12, right down from your house, Billy. Right down from your house. And I showed him my license and everything. He said, well, the reason why I stopped you, Mr. Shackford, is you had your music too loud. I said, my music too loud? Just like that. He said, yeah, your music was too loud. I said, well, officer, where you was? Because I sure ain't seen you. He said, well, I was in a 50-mile radius from you, and I heard your music. And I say, well, ain't nothing to stand in the box on this little golf cart, you know. You know what he said to me? He said, you trying to get smart with me. I said, no, officer, I'm not trying to get smart with you. I just asked you a question, you know. And he say, and I asked him, I said, officer, you must don't know me. He say, no, I don't. Just like that. I said, because the reason why I asked you that is because other officers see me and they just wave at me, and they ain't never stopped me before. And I say, he said, well, you still trying to get small with me, just like that. He said, wait a minute. So he went on back there to his car, and he looked up my license, looked up my name and everything, see if I got it in a warrant or whatever they do, you know. So he come back to me and say, I could give you all kind of citations, you know, for riding this golf cart, you know, just like that. I said, well, I said, I ain't doing nothing legal. I mean, I got lights on the car or whatever, you know. And he still asked me, you trying to get smart with me? And I say, well, no, officer, I'm not trying to get smart with you. I just asked you a question. And then I told him, I said, you got one officer on the force, you know, that was nosing around my house one day, and he seen a trailer on the side of my house. And I told the officer, I said, you know, he asked me about the trailer and everything, and I said, did I want to sell that trailer? Because he had a four-wheeler that he wanted to put on it, he wanted to buy it. He was looking for a trailer.
Just wrap up your point.
So my point is that Steve got unjust killed for nothing. And I feel like the police, they killed him, well, they really ambushed him. They ambushed Steve. And Steve didn't deserve that because he was a family man, he was a church-going man, the community loved him, everybody loved Steve. Steve didn't hardly get what you call a speeding ticket. And so I feel like that the police, three officers ought to be fired. They don't need to be on the police force. And they don't need to be nowhere representing us.
Thank you.
So I feel like justice should be for Steve.
I was about to tell you to come sit on the front.
Hello, Council.
Yes, sir.
My name is Marcus Emerson. I am a private citizen, and I live on 2216 Arcadia Drive, Southeast, your district, Mr. Principal Temp. Apparently in Decatur, we seem to have an ongoing problem, and this problem's been going on for years with our police department. I can remember I was back here when the Street Hawks were here, and we had problems with them. And we brought in Chief Gilliam, and we did policy then, and somebody got killed. Yes, remember all this. Then I remember again, somebody got killed during Chief Gilliam, and then we went through this issue, and then we went through all this again. And we got these policy holders. And just a couple years back, did we just come up with a plan that was supposed to prevent all this? But yet, we here again. So my question to you, because the buck stops with, right here, y'all are our elected officials. We need to stop planning and stop wasting money and execute here and stop these tragedies. Because regardless of what the situation, Steve is gone. And Steve was a very good man. I used to work out with him in the gym, and we had a very conversation about this very thing. And unfortunately, here we are again, and for us will, more likely it's gonna look like that the city is gonna have to kick out money, and the taxpayers, we are gonna have to pay for this again. Because we cannot get our police under control to do what is right. Because regardless, fire, they should at least been suspended without pay. I work for the state. If I fall asleep in my truck, they would suspend me. They don't play. And they more harder than y'all are. So excuse me when I'm telling you this. The buck stops here, guys. We got to do better. It's no reason why in 2023 we should be going through this again. When we went through this with Tommy Lee Hines, we went through this with Kenny Petty, with Brian Pitts. Mr. Jackson know these names. And Mr. Jackson, I appreciate you because you do stand and you do the right things most of the time. You do. We don't agree on everything, but I will commend you for what you have done as far as standing up and standing for when the city wastes money on craziness. Because apparently, we haven't learned our lesson. And now it's going to cost us again, fellas. It's going to cost us again. Are we going to have to take out another liquor tax or a big city bond or whatever that's to fix this? How much more till we got to make it expensive to kill a black man? And this is not a black and white thing. This is a right and a wrong thing. I'm not gonna take up too much of your time. Young brother, come up here and speak. But all thing I'm saying, gentlemen, the buck stops here and we got to do better. Because now here we are again. And I hope, I got a daughter, I got a son. I hope 10, 20 years now, we're not up here again talking about this again. I hope we put policy in that stop this. And that's all. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, May Tab?
Thank you.
How you feeling?
I've heard like the rest of the city.
Okay. I got a couple of questions.
Can you give your name?
Oh, my name is Alex Ward. I'm not originally from this city, but I live here. I've been here for about 3 years now. I got 2 kids. It's been clear to me, I've been sitting here for the last hour, so it's clear to me that there's no answers that you desire necessarily to give us when it comes to this whole situation. So I'm not even going to necessarily focus on the situation because it's clear that you can't give us answers to put our hearts at rest. So I'm going to focus more so on the futuristic things here due to the fact that I have a son that one day would grow older to look like Steve Perkins. I respect everybody. Let's put it, I'm a man of God first and foremost. I respect everybody. My dad always told me to respect those that respect you. But as I've sat here, if I've sat here for a week, I've lost a sense of respect due to the fact of, had the tables been turned, I feel as though the footage that has been displayed, had it been in the opposite direction, I feel as though you guys would have had a complete investigation as you guys watched that footage that's already been put out. I feel like as a black man, if I had shot an officer, had Steve Perkins shot an officer, based on the footage that was shown, he would have been in handcuffs, probably the same night. So my question to you is, going into the future, when my son grows up, how am I to instill in him that he can trust a police officer? How am I to instill in him that he can go out into the world? How am I to instill in myself that when I'm not around my son, everybody here that knows me, family, friends, know I protect my son by all means necessary. When my son is not around me, I feel as though I'm not going to be able to, if I can't get to my son, how am I supposed to get to the sense in my brain cells that my son is safe if I can't call an officer that I trust, that I can trust? And I'm not saying that there is an officer that I trust, but how am I to trust an officer What are you guys putting in place now? Since the investigation is not in your hands, what is your focus as of now? What are you focusing on for next week? My son's gonna be in school here in a couple of years. You have officers in school. If I can't trust them now, when would I be able to trust them? What are you guys putting into place as far as tomorrow? Let's not worry about next year or the year after. What are you guys putting in place now? What are you guys meeting about? What are you guys conversing about since you're not investigating the situation?
I think did you come in a little after the discussion started? Or
I just want the question answered.
I think we discussed that, so I was gonna go back to that. The question was asked, kind of what do you do from a policy and procedure standpoint?
Can I make a statement?
Sure. Can I finish real quick? And my answer was that I think when we find out all the facts, I think every one of us up here, and again, I can only speak for me, would advocate for exactly what you're talking about, is a real look at all those, not even the ones that were at play in this situation, but of course those, but all. And I would also say—
Before you go further, can I ask you this question? Do you guys not think that the facts are already out there?
Yeah, there are a lot of facts, and I answered the question based on what I knew
No, I'm saying,
earlier.
it's simple as that. Do you guys think that the facts are not already displayed?
I think a lot of them are, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what you're saying, sir, and I ain't never met you before, but as a police chief, that is my job to build this back together, to build the relationship back.
When is it?
I've got some work to do. I understand that, and I recognize that. And there's people out here that know me and know my heart. And this is the last thing I would ever wanted from anybody. All right, it's the last thing I wanted for Steve. I've not came out publicly and told everybody that I knew him, because it's not for me to come out here and say that, okay? It's not for me to make a spectacle of myself. All right, I've got work to do with my police department, and I acknowledge that. And I will do everything I can to get that, all right? I will work on everything. I know we have issues. We're human. We have issues, all right? I haven't wiped anything away, haven't tried to hide anything. There are some things that I'm bound by law that I have to do, and I have to respect that. It's because that's what I'm here to do, to uphold the law. Not saying we've done everything right, not saying we've done everything wrong, okay? But we do have some things, some healing that has to be done in the community, and it's on me. I take that. I get that. I understand it. I know where it's at. It's on me. I've got some work to do. I appreciate all this. I mean, like I said, some of you guys that know me, all right? I ain't shied away from anybody, all right? That's the reason I sat right here tonight, because I wanted to hear, okay? I appreciate it, and we got work to do. I just want to step up and tell you, because this is my responsibility to help make sure that doesn't happen to these people. And I take that, okay?
Are we gonna get justice?
We all said we want justice.
So I got one more question before I sit down. Since he responded to what I said, what is the process for us healing?
I don't know yet. We got it, and we got to come together to be able to do it.
I mean, we can't come together as one until your officers allow us, the hurt, the wounded, to come together, so that we can come together and get a plan. Because obviously, y'all's agenda versus our agenda, it's not in the same direction. Y'all trying to take us back into the years, and we're trying to go forward.
Mr. Ward, thank you for those comments. So, like last speaker tonight, again, as I said last week, I tried to hang out around and talk to some of y'all after the meeting, and I'll do that again if you have questions for me personally. But this will be the last speaker outside of the council member.
I have a question that has not been answered, so I would like a 1 minute.
The only thing I've got to say is you're gonna have to give us your name and your address.
But they know me personally, opinion knows me personally.
Do you have that information?
Okay.
I don't have to.
Go ahead.
Good evening. Good evening. And I know you all are ready to go home, get you dinner and go to bed. But
Can you give your name?
my name is Linda Perkins Lipscomb. As you all, some of you all may know, and some of you all don't know, my husband was the pastor of the church. I've been married to him for 35 years. I lost him last year. I lost my aunt 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, then I lost Steve. He's my first cousin. 2 weeks ago, within those 2 weeks, the Decatur police stopped my son on the way to work between 11 and 12 o'clock. He's a truck driver. They said, you got a shortage in your tag light. Then they come back and they said, you got a warrant. He said, a warrant on what? They said, I don't know. They put handcuffs on him. They took him to jail. We went and got him out, come to find out, the ticket been paid years ago. Wow. Then they wanted to pay him for missing his load. He was in hard times. As of yet, they have not paid him anything. I told him to get a lawyer. Not only that, Decatur, the city of Decatur approved a budget over $28 million in 2022. That was over 1/3 of the expense of the city. How much of this $28 million went to guns and how much of it went to training? Because obviously somebody don't have their training. And why? I'm a little nervous because I'm under so much stress. And why do the city need 1/3 of the budget to go to police? There's no way a small city like this with the police should be, there's no way a city this small, police budget should be that large. So tell me why. And tell me why did they take my son? That could have been my son. When they took Steve, 2 weeks, within 2 weeks they killed Steve, they stopped my son. That could have been my son, that's 33 years old, on the way to work. Usually have his baby in the car with him to meet his mother. So happened I took the baby to school. What would have happened if they stopped my son, took him to jail? What would they have done to the baby? That could have been my son laying out there, and I'm in the bed sleeping. It's not right. God said, love one another. We're looking for love, all of us. We're sisters and brothers in Christ. Mr. Todd, I got respect for you. But I was at the police department protesting Sunday. You called one of the fellas out there, and I heard the conversation. They got on to you about not visiting the Perkins family. Then they said, you know it's not right, you're my friend. I'm shaking, I'm nervous because I'm hurt. You're my friend. Hold on, I know the buzz is buzzing. But then you called Nicholas and asked him, could you come to the house at 7:30? At 7:30, I was at the house. You came to the house. Instead of you speaking, your wife spoke for you. Yes, she did, because they asked, why are you just not reaching out? Your wife stood back like this. She said, oh, he was sick. You should have been spoke. That's your job to speak.
I did speak.
You did after she spoke.
Well, sometimes she talks
Yes.
too fast.
You said you all didn't want what we had. They turned and said, do you not have someone to speak for you when you're sick? You said, I'd like to speak for myself. Then why didn't you get on the telephone? Even if I'm sick, I got diabetes, I got high blood pressure, cholesterol. Even when I'm sick, I can get on the phone and talk. And at least say, I'm sorry to the family. It should have took from Thursday to Sunday night, 7:30, for you to reach out to the family. And that's all I have to say. God bless you.
Thank you.
Y'all mind if I ask just one question? No, sir. You got your chance to speak. We let everybody have their chance, and we're gonna move on.
I want to know why the tow truck driver was allowed to leave.
Okay.
Why was he an ex-cop?
Sir, wait. I believe there was some comments. Do you want to let Mr. Pepper go? Okay, he does not want to go, so.
I want to say that the chief said that he knew Steve. And Cheryl and Linda, you know, the Jacksons and the Perkins go back long before I was born. Long before I was born. So I've known the Perkins for all my entire life. So this is really painful for me as it is for everybody. I've spoken with many people who are in this room tonight. I spoke with them today. and we had lots of conversations. And I spoke with them candidly, and they spoke with me candidly. And Anissa asked, who's gonna call for Chief Pinyon's termination or separation from the city? And the mayor said, no, we weren't gonna do that. My intention today, and to be quite frank, I didn't want a big audience here tonight. And that's not my choice. But I didn't want a big audience here because I did not want anybody to think that I was doing something or saying something to show out. And when, what was his name, Devin, said that I had not spoken, I had decided a while back that I was gonna wait until the end, because I came here tonight after well, let me back up 1 second. With the conversations that we had, I think we all saw that the footage that we've seen is door cam. And there is still gonna be body cam film footage. And the thing with that is that I was not going to make a recommendation based on any sort of footage, because I know that there's still evidence that's gotta come in. And I think that the evidence, as the gentleman said a little bit ago, is pretty clear for me. But I'm not a police officer. But it's pretty clear for me that this should not have happened. So the thing that I was basing my opinion on was policies and procedures. And what policies, what procedures allowed our police officers to be out there at that time of night for something that could have been dealt with a week from now, 10 days from now, 2 weeks from now. There is no, I don't know of any policy that would justify that. I don't know of any procedure that would have allowed us to go out there and, at that particular time, in aid of, or in assisting a tow truck driver at that particular time, when all we had to do was turn on the lights and knock on the door. But the thing is that if police officers are outside of my house and all the lights are on and the blue lights are flashing everywhere, I'm not coming out with a gun. I'm just not. To me, that's suicide. And so I came here tonight and I decided to hold off. After conversations, like I said, with many of you who are here today, I decided to hold off. But I came here tonight with the intention of asking for a separation with Chief Pinion. I was going to ask for either his resignation or termination. And I don't have anything against Chief. I don't, Chief. I like Chief, but the fact very simply is that all policies and procedures that are in place stop with the Chief. They stop with the Chief. If the council does not implement policies or a policy for a department, then the mayor has the opportunity to do that. If the mayor does not do that, then the chief or the department head can do that. And I don't know if policies are not in place. I don't know if they're bad policies. I've gone through our policies and procedures, and they don't directly answer this. Maybe some attorney can show me where it does directly answer that. But my intention tonight was strictly to come to ask for Chief's termination or his resignation. So I didn't want to respond, and I was not going to respond to any questions, Anissa. You know, you and I talk, and I've never shied away from talking. But I was not going to just respond to anybody's questions. I wanted to make my own statement, let people know exactly where I am and where I will be. Again, I don't have a problem with Chief on a personal level, but I do think that our department has failed. And I think that our citizens, whether it was a black citizen or a white citizen or any other citizen in our community, should not have been treated this way. This was an injustice in my opinion, and I think that justice will play out. I have a firm belief that justice will play out, but I do think that the door cams had a lot to do with justice playing out. That's just me. But I wanted to say that and get that on the record, that that's where I was, that's where I am, Anissa. That's why I didn't respond to you at that particular time. The gentleman who said that I was rolling my eyes, I've been complimented and said, and many people have said, you're the only one who listens to us. People have said that so many times to me. And so I might have leaned back and in the process of thinking, listening to someone talk, but I promise you, it's not a rolling of the eyes. This hurts me deeply. For this to have happened in our community, it hurts me deeply for it to happen to somebody who I've known in his entire life, basically. I'm a good bit older than Steve was, but it's just, it's something that's painful, and I think that we do need to make changes in our police department. I do think that the officers should be terminated, Mayor. I do think that they should be arrested. And that was why I did not want to cry here tonight, because I wanted people to think that it was not about grandstanding. But it's the truth. It's the truth. But I just, again, that's pretty much all that I had to say. But I do think that changes have to be made in our police department, and I think that they need to be made immediately. And now, I could be wrong, but I do think that the mayor can override any recommendation made by any department head and can make those changes. So that's my perspective.
All right.
That's all I have to say.
Anything else from council? All right, he said he was gonna withhold those, so. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.